Welcome to the Explainer. So today, we're going to break down the very first steps that every organization takes to turn all that raw data into something actually useful. It's the essential foundation for everything that comes after, from simple reports all the way to complex analytics.
All right, so here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with this idea called the information continuum, and then we're going to climb up the first three foundational levels: search, then counts, and finally operational reporting. We'll see how they all fit together and why they are so critical.
We're all just flooded with data these days, right? From every customer transaction to every little sensor reading. The real challenge isn't just collecting it anymore. It's trying to make any sense of it at all.
So where do you even start? I mean, you can't just jump straight to the sexy stuff like AI and machine learning. The real answer is in a structured approach, kind of like a hierarchy of information needs, where each level has to be built solidly on top of the last one.
And this right here, this is a perfect roadmap for what we're talking about. These are the very first steps on what's called the information continuum, a path that takes you from the most basic use of data all the way to really high-value insights. So, let's start at square one.
Okay, level 1. This is, without a doubt, the bedrock, the absolute foundation of using data in any business. It all starts with something super basic.
What's the most fundamental thing you need to do? It's just finding one specific thing right when you need it. Think about it. If you can't do that, well, you can't really do anything else, can you?
Yeah, picture this. A call center agent on the phone. They have to pull up one single customer account to help them. That's it. It's simple, it's direct, and it happens thousands, maybe millions of times a day in any big company. That right there is search and lookup in action.
Now, here's where it gets tricky. Even at this super basic level, you run into some massive challenges. First up, master data. How in the world do you guarantee you're looking at the one, single, correct record for a customer who might exist in 5 different systems? That's a huge puzzle. And then there's historical data. What about that record from 8 years ago that you legally have to keep, but it's buried deep in some archive?
Okay, so finding one thing is great, but it's a very narrow view, right? It only tells you about one specific person or one specific order. To make bigger decisions, you gotta see more.
Exactly. We have to zoom out. We've been looking at individual trees, but now we need to see the whole forest. And how do you do that? Well, you start grouping those trees together.
And this is a really key moment. We're shifting from asking, hey, what are the details of this one order, to asking, so, how many orders did we get last month? This is that first big step into what we call aggregation. And honestly, this is usually where companies realize they need some real reporting systems. Right. Look at all these examples. What's the common thread? They're all about collections of records, not just one. It's about getting those totals, those volumes, the high-level view that a manager needs to actually see what's going on across the business. All right, so we can find things and we can count things. We're getting somewhere. But wait, there's a huge potential problem. What happens if the sales team counts total sales one way and the finance team counts it a totally different way? Well, you get chaos, that's what.
So how do you fix that? How do you make sure everyone is looking at the same forest, singing from the same hymn sheet? The answer is standardization. You have to create one single, universally accepted version of the data, and that is exactly what operational reporting is for.
Yeah, this level is all about getting everyone to agree. These aren't just some random lists somebody pulled together. These are the official reports, the one version of the truth that the whole organization lives and breathes by. And believe me, a ton of work in data governance goes into making these trustworthy. And this is it's so critical, because what it means is that when people from sales and finance and marketing are all in a room together, they're starting from the same set of numbers. It stops the arguments before they can even begin. It gives you that solid, consistent baseline you need to make smart decisions.
Okay, let's take a breath. We've got search, we've got counts, and we've got operational reporting. They build on each other, for sure, but they also have one really important thing in common.
All 3 of these levels, they're all laser-focused on answering one big question. Not what might happen or what did happen, but what is happening.
Exactly. This whole foundation we've been talking about, it's designed for one purpose, to describe the present. It's all about telling us, how are we doing right now? So let's just do a quick recap of this foundation we've built, because honestly,
Getting this part right is everything.
You see how it works? Each level gives you something new, and it builds perfectly on the last one. You can't have good reports if you can't count things properly. And you can't count things properly if you can't even find the individual records to begin with. Nailing these first 3 steps, well, it's the price of admission for doing any of the more advanced analytics later on. You just can't skip it.
Hey, so if this little breakdown helped things click for you, if it helped you see how businesses build up their information from scratch, do us a favor and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It really helps us make more of these explainers, and you won't miss the next one when we keep climbing this ladder.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Understanding what's happening now is absolutely essential. It's the whole foundation. But the real magic, the next big leap on this information continuum, that comes when you can use all this to start seeing what's going to happen next. And, well, we'll talk about that next time.